Hey everybody, welcome back to my train room. My name is Don and this is the CCP&T O-Gauge Railroad. Today we're going to weather track, we're going to put down ties and put down ballast. So I kind of moved some stuff out of the way. We're going to put our ties in over here. This is where we're going to paint track. This is where we'll weatherize the track. There is no wrong way to weatherize track. All right, there's all kinds of ways to do it. Some ways are just easier than others, and I like to think mine's one of the easier ways to do things. You can brush it on, paintbrush. I've seen guys do that. Sure seems like it takes a long time to do that with a paintbrush. And I've seen some guys use an airbrush, and while I admit I've got an airbrush over there in the cabinet, and I did some of that with HO, I think I found a little bit easier and faster way than even doing it with the airbrush. So today what we're going to use, rattle can spray paint, Rust-Oleum primer, rust color. That's what we're going to put on. And I know you're worried, maybe the top doesn't problem. I've used this over, really doesn't have a problem. So we're going to put down some primer. We got a few things we'll need to protect a little bit. I do have a lock on right here. So I decided in the case of the lock on, I put a little tape over it just to protect the lock on. I do not like to spray switches. I will not spray the switches. I just leave those alone. They go without. But for the rest of the track, we're going to be fine. We got one thing we're going to put down. I do have this part done. Just for the overspray, we're going to cover it. You might recognize this. I call this Mike's Rocks. Mike knows what I mean. He's changing that though. He's upgrading. He's going to upgrade big time. We're going to lay that down just to protect that a little bit. All we need, Rust-Oleum, got a little piece of this, and paper towels. We'll go through a few paper towels. Now, one thing where this is a little different than in other locations. If I was painting this here, or behind me where I've painted there next to the backdrop, I just do one side. I mean, there's no reason doing the other side. No one's ever going to see the other side, so you might as well just spray one. In this situation, we're going to see both sides, so we're going to have to spray both sides. So let's get going. I got a piece of paper towel. I kind of cover a little bit, kind of help in a few spots, especially in here, but we're just going to hit them. Let's hit them again from this side. By the way, this is the spot where I should put up a disclaimer, and that is, this video is strictly for entertainment purposes only. So always do as I say, not as I do. This should always be done in a well-ventilated area. Gloves, eye protection, mask, hazmat suit if you got one. That's the way it should be done. So just so you realize. In my case, the hazmat suit's at the cleaners, and I used up the last mask back in the pandemic of 2019. So, got glasses, forgot the gloves. Just hit it good with the paper towel. I keep going back and forth. We're going to hit it one more time with something else yet, and we're done. Grab another paper towel here. And it really goes on fast. It's quick. It's easy. Get that piece out of there. One little spot left here. See if we can get this done quick. Might be close enough. I'm not going to look at the camera to see if you're seeing this or not, but I'm going to finish it. hit that with a nail. And there we go. We just did, I don't know, how many feet is that? 6, 7 feet? Give or take a little. Didn't even need this. But there it is. I know you thought, oh, it's going to be a little more complicated and interesting. Really wasn't much to it. It's basically throw it on, wipe it off, and hang on. I got to go past the camera here just a second. Get one thing. All right, forgot the one to pop. The last thing I like to do, low order mineral spirits. Supposed to be like unscented, but it's not really. I like to use mineral spirits to clean my track. I know guys have used alcohol and all kinds of other things. Back in the HO days, you clean track a lot. And I saw something with the pH level or whatever, I don't even remember now. But alcohol was not necessarily the best, and everybody recommended mineral spirits. I just got a block of 2x4 and part of an old t-shirt. And when I'm done, I just like to run over the entire track with that. Give it one more quick cleaning. And the top is nice and shiny. And you will have no problems. That's it. I knew you thought it was probably going to be more. That's all it takes. We just did 6-8 feet of track in just a few minutes. We're done with that. The next thing we need to move on to is show you how I do railroad ties, ballast, and I think you'll find the way I do it is a little bit faster too. Kind of goes along with the way I do my painting. All right, tracks weather-wise, let's talk ties. I go, in my case, Menards, but probably about any home improvement store. I use 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch by 3 feet long stock. And I'll usually do a half dozen at a time. So I'll take about a half dozen of them, stack them up nice. I'll wrap them up with masking tape, maybe at 2 or 3 locations. I mark them off at 2 1/4 inches. So I'm going 2 1/4. And at the end, the very last one, mine turned out to be maybe a 1/4 inch longer. So no big deal with that. When I get them all marked out, they're all wrapped together. And like I said, I like to wrap them 3, 4, 5 places. I just cut them off my skill saw. Got a table saw, you can do that. Whatever works, but I just use a skill saw, cut them up. 6 of these, we're gonna get you 96 ties. And there's 99 cents a piece, so $6 for 100 ties. I believe Menards is getting, what, $14.95 for 100 ties, so less than half the price. I do notice, as I said, these are 1/4 by 1/4. I saw Menards, theirs are 1/4 by 1/2, so they're 1/2 inch wide. I'm kind of guessing they went wider to go along with, on the tubular here, what you have on the spacings. Beyond that, once I get that done, I get them cut. I use wood stain, a real dark color, a dark walnut, ebony, something that's a good, real dark color. And I just take all my ties that are cut, and I'll have a bowl, small dish. It doesn't have to be very deep. And I'll just pour the stain in that, and I'll just start dropping in ties. And when I get them in, swish them around a little bit. I might use a big tweezers or a forceps or something like that to grab them, pull them back out, and put them on a paper towel and let them dry. So once they're dry, you're set and you're ready to go. Now for putting them on, I've seen lots of different ways guys do it. I've seen a lot of people glue them on, hot glue, super glue, all kinds of ways to put them down. But we're not going to do it that way. Again, it's like when I paint my track, I want it fast, I want it easy. So we're not going to bother gluing these things to the track. Let me get things moved around and I'll show you how I do it. All right, how's this? Got you down close where you can kind of see what I'm doing. As I said, I like to do things a little bit easier. We got them, and I'm not too particular even about how far apart they are. Nice and simple, we're just going to slide them under. I don't worry about my spacing. I don't worry about much of anything except get them kind of regular the way you'd like them. Now sometimes you get a little tight here, and that's basically because I got a screw right here. The track is screwed down, so you might have a hard time. Otherwise, all you're going to do is just keep putting down ties. Now, I do like, this one's got a screw in it, but I do like taking, sometimes you can take these, I got these pushed down pretty good, but you can actually slip a tie up inside there and put one inside if you want. Sometimes I don't, I'll take these, just cut them down and put a stub in. Just put a little stub of a tie in there, and that way it'll kind of hide the hole. And by the time we get done putting ballast on it, you really aren't going to see anything. So as you can see, all it amounts to is slipping through. They're going in a little tough because I do have it screwed down. If you find it's a little bit too hard because of that, if you don't have your track, or you do have it that way, just loosen up the screws. In fact, I got this screwdriver, my drill right here. I thought I might need that. So far, I've been able to shove them through. Not a problem. You can always go back and line them up a little. Put one in between. And I'm just going to keep going, guys. There's no use boring you with the rest of this. I'm just going to keep going down to the end. And we either want to get to the end, or I run out of ties. One way or the other, we'll stop and we'll start talking about putting down some ballast. All right, guys, there we go. We have all the ties into place. Didn't take me too long. I don't know, what do we got here? Maybe 5 feet or so. And I think I probably had about 106 ties or 107, and I think I got about 15, 20 left. So slightly less than 100 ties, so probably that should be about $5 worth of ties from Menards. So give you a rough idea on cost. Ballast, here we go. Woodland Scenics, I'm doing the coarse ballast. I like the coarse, and I did a gray blend. And maybe I might question why I did a gray blend. I don't have gray rocks around here, anything you see my rocks. I did this because at one point in time, all my sidings were fast track and they're gray. And I was putting ballast in between, like a yard area where I'd have 2 rails. I was filling the whole thing in the middle with ballast. So I did gray ballast because I thought it matched fast track. So now I got it, so that's what we're going to use. And let me see if I've opened this one yet or not. Oh, brand new. Whew. Last one they got. You've probably seen other people have some of these kind of fancy ballast spreaders. You put them on the track and you put stuff down, and that's how you set up the deal. But I noticed on this lid, it shows a picture of a spoon. So I got a spoon. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use a spoon. And I don't get real fancy with this. We're just going to run it right down. I'm going to put a little bit here in the center. I'm just going to run it down, tap it in. We'll take care of it a little bit later. And I don't know how far down I'm going to go because we don't know how much ballast we're going to have. And I want to see. Let's leave that for now. And after that, we're just going to come in here with the spoon, and we're just going to spoon it out. If you notice right in here, this is a 1/4 inch higher. I found one unusual thing when I started working with O-gauge trains compared to HO. HO, when you put the cars in and everything matched up. I've noticed with O, when you do this, if you put a building here and you put the boxcar next to it, the boxcar is sitting higher than the dock on the building. But if I add a 1/4 inch of foam and I put my building there with the dock will now be the exact height of the boxcar. I never had to do that with HO. That stuff always seemed to match up. But here, for some reason, it doesn't quite match. So, and I know guys talk about putting ballast down. It's so tedious and it takes so long. I'm thinking, you know, those guys, they should buy a spoon, because that seems to work pretty decent. Looks a little rough right now, but it'll get better as we go. I'm going to slide around the table a little bit. We'll just pour some down the middle again. We'll get all that extra out of there in a little bit. Sometimes we're hiding the ties, but we'll come out and straighten that out. A couple more spoonfuls here. And then I'll show you how I'm going to do all right. Hey, we're going to have plenty. Let's go back to the start. Small paintbrush. And basically, I'm just going to lightly go over enough where I can get my ties showing through. And that's all I really care, to get the ties so you can see them. I might have been a little light here. I was a little strong down here. Let's bring some of that down here. I could use some down here. There you go. Come on down, guys. And on the outside edge, I got a spot. We'll take care of that down the line. I do the same thing down here. Kind of brush it. I want it just so the ties stick out. I like where the ends of the ties stick out. You're going to have this extra stuff. We can pick all that up later. If it's extra and I don't need it, then I'm just going to push it farther out. One thing when you're doing scenery that's worth having, and the one I have is a small vacuum for like your car. Go vacuum your car, but you plug it in. I have one of those I use out here. And basically when you got stuff like this, you just push it offside, but you don't want to lose it. So I will take the end of the tube on my vacuum, put a hose over it, and now or a sock, I should say, a sock over it. And now just come back and suck all this stuff up, and it all goes in the sock, and then you can put it back in your container and save it. So right now we're just going to try to get it all up here what we want. We're going to try to get it close. And I think you kind of get the idea of what I'm doing. So I'll tell you what, again, so I don't bore you terribly, let me keep working on this. I'll be back in a minute. Well guys, I think I got it all pretty much in. As you can see, there's a lot of spare ballast laying around. Don't worry about it. We'll clean that up later when we get the vacuum out. Now, at this point in time, you're saying, well, that looks real cool and that's real neat, but you know, all them ties are just sitting there and all the vibration, they're going to move. So you're right, they are, and of course, you can't have the ballast sit that way. So, Elmer's glue is fine. Mod Podge is fine as long as it's Mod Podge matte and not Mod Podge gloss. Type Bond all-purpose white glue. Dries fast, it's clean, and it will dry clear so you won't see it. Again, Menards says where I get it, so whether this or white glue, it comes out the same. I have taken this and I added water. So we're going to go probably, if it was really strong, it'd be 50-50 water. But this is probably more like 60 water, 40, maybe even 70 water, 30 glue. And that's all you need. Put it in, shake her up good. And we're going to use the old, pipette? Fancy plastic eyedropper, whatever you want to call them, pipettes. That's what we're going to use to put it on. But you can't just take glue. I'll show you real quick if I can. You probably won't. The camera's probably not going to pick this up, but you can see how thin it is. If you tried to just put some of this, it just beads up. All you end up is balls and beads, and that doesn't work. So what you have to do to cut the friction is alcohol. Not the kind you drink, this is the kind you pick up at Walmart. They've got 70% and 90%. I don't know, I just buy 90%, it's about the same thing. But you need to spray it with this first, and this will break the tension. That's what they say anyway. I don't know, I'm no chemist, so. But I spray it down good to get it wet, and that's where I quit getting it wet, so, because after a while it'll be hard to tell. Now, we pick it up, and we just go right down, and it just soaks right in. Now it doesn't run off. I mean, it runs off a little because it's downhill on that, but it now soaks in, and it glues everything together, including the ties. By the time you put this down, go down each side, you've basically rock hardened ties, ballast, everything is all stuck together, including the track for that matter. All right, I got about a little over half to do. Let me finish that and then we'll come back. Well, there we are, guys. Painted, ties, ballast, glued. Now I'm going to let it sit 24. We got kind of a mess here we got to clean up. We're going to let this sit 24 hours. We're coming back. And then I'll show you. I know I said I wasn't going to make any changes, but this might be more of a revision. It was an original idea, and we're kind of bringing back an original idea. So, and I gotta say one thing too. This past week, I kind of gave Mike a bad time about his rocks, but this past week, the CCP&T, we took a drive and we went down to the secondhand overland, and we ran some trains down there with Mike, discussed his rocks and discussed his newest venture that he's doing on scenery for his track, and I am really looking forward to what he's going to end up with. That's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty nice. I'm looking forward. He's got his first video in. If you haven't checked with Datafied, check that channel. Check out Mike. He's getting ready to do some scenery and change the rocks that's on his layout. All right, we'll be back this time tomorrow. Well, there we go, guys. 24 hours later, and everything's working fine. Now, one thing I said I wanted to come back and talk about today is kind of bringing back an earlier idea. Here's from an early video. We'll show this siding when it was fast track. And if you're going to notice, there's two sidings here. There's another one close to this one, to the left-hand side of it. Now, today, when I come back, it's missing. But I really wanted that siding. And the reason was, I like to do a lot of the videos and the photography as we've talked about. And the idea of having another siding here was businesses on this side where you'd see the loading dock. And I had an opportunity with the table right here to easily come with a camera. You could shoot right down lengthways. You could see the back loading docks, people working on the loading docks, unloading boxcars. As I said, I can't leave them on this one. I needed that other track. So here's what we're going to do. Not quite the same as the earlier idea, but grab some pieces of track here. Basically, what we're going to do, I got to get into the table here. By the way, I want to talk to you about these. When I talked about putting my wires in, my drops in, I was soldering them in, and I've had some problems with that lately. You can see it might have been done here. The soldering is corroding, and they're popping off. I've had two of them pop off. I'm done soldering these. Now I take a flat screwdriver, twist the rail just a bit. I can take a good piece of wire, push it down in with that screwdriver, and then with a set of nippers you can pinch it back closed again and this is what I've been doing now, and it works a whole lot better. So what we're going to do, hang on, I'm going to run these down while I'm setting this down. Run the wires down through the table. I already had a hole here. I've changed things so often on this that, oops, got to push this back a ways. I've made so many changes that I got so many holes in my track. Let me slip this back in. There we go. And then we're going to slip this in. And this will allow me to now have my second line. And here's, I'm working on this. This building isn't done yet. We're working on them. Here's a building I'm working on. Basically, I'm just going to set it here for now. But the loading dock would sit. Your building sits in. And now I get the video I want coming from the side, doing it this way. I can have this building. I'll probably put a road around the end to connect with everything else. There's a new, I'd probably have room for 2 or 3 buildings along here, however I want to do, by just putting this track back in the way I'd originally thought of doing it up front. And the nice part is, you saw I ran the wires down, so it'll be hot, but it doesn't connect on either end. So as this is basically just going in to take videos and pictures, and that's all it's there for in that respect. But at the same time, I can hide this end down here. You're never going to see both ends, so you can hide this end or the other. But actually, it was when I was down, as I mentioned, I was down early this week with Mike, and we were running trains down at the secondhand overland. And as we were doing that, we got talking about this. I was going to do this, and he said, oh, you basically will have a test track. I thought, yeah, I didn't think about that. By powering it up, I can have a test track, test out engines, or if I got a problem, do something with that. So I'm not calling this a change. I'm just calling this as bringing back an idea from earlier, and we'll put this one in next. So what I'm going to have to do is get some more ties, get some more ballast, put that in, and then we'll keep working on the buildings. But there you go. Weathering track, putting in my ties, putting in the ballast. If you got any questions or anything that you see that might even be better than what I'm doing, put a comment down. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate all the comments and ideas that other people have. Just because I did something doesn't mean there still is an easier way to do it. I just haven't thought about it, and maybe you have. That'll do us this time, guys. We'll see you the next time around.